Risk management as applied to safety, security, and sanitation. Group 3. Members. From 4, fungi until D, physical hazards. Fungi.
Fungi. It can be found in air, soil, plants, water, and some food. Why fungi is important? Together with bacteria, fungi are responsible for breaking down organic matter and releasing carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus into the soil and the atmosphere. The role of fungi in our daily life. Fungi are important to everyday human life. Fungi are important decomposers in the most ecosystems. Molds and yeast are the example of fungi. Fungi including unicellular yeast and multicellular molds, and edible and non-edible mushrooms that can be found naturally in the environment. Yeast are defined as unicellular fungi. The idea of unicellular organism carries with it the notion of being free-living. And molds is a multicellular fungus. It consists of filaments called hyphae that can be bunched together into structures called mycelia. And edible mushrooms are the fleshy and edible fruits bodies of several species of macrofungi. They can occur either below ground or above ground, where they may be picked by hand. And lastly, non-edible mushroom is a poisonous mushroom's consequences of ingestion to human health. Yeast and molds can cause microbial spoilage. So, microbial spoilage. This refers to damage to food, pharmaceutical products that is caused by microorganisms, bacteria, molds, and yeast. Microorganisms can grow in almost all kinds of food products. As microorganisms occur everywhere around us, there is always a risk of microbial spoilage.
Yeast and molds can cause food discoloration, unpleasant odor, and taste. So, kanang yeast ug molds kay makakos na siya kausaban sa atong food. Like, ang color mausab, ang kanang iyang manimaho siya, unya ang taste kanang mulain na sad ang lami. Molds grow well on almost any type of food like bread, pastries, vegetables, fruits, meats, cheese, and any certain beverages are susceptible to molds and yeast contamination. Molds can spoil food and sometimes cause illness. So, ang kanang molds kay makadaot yun na siya sa atong pagkaon. Yung kung ato nang makaon ang kana nga food nga naay molds is na jay possibility nga makakos na siya illness sa ato. So, example, kanang niitag ka ng bread nga naay molds pero wala ta kabantay kay gutom ta dali tagkaon, then na jay possibility nga atong tiyan mulain or di ba kanang magkalibanga ta ingana. And also, molds grow well in acidic food with a little moisture and not destroyed by a colder or a freezer temperature. So, ang kanang kasagaran, ang kanang mga molds kimutubo na sila sa mga acidic food. Unsa man ang mga acidic food? So, mga example sa acidic food is kanang mga eggs, mga lemons, grapes, kanang mga example nga naa dira. And then, ang kanang molds, kaya bisag imo pa ng isud og ref or imong ipa-colder, imong ipa-freeze, kaya di dyan na sila mawala. So, it's better kung kabaw ka nga, ang kanang food na molds is kanang imo na lang ilabay.
They can produce toxins such as aflatoxins. Aflatoxins are a family of toxins produced by certain fungi that are found on agricultural crops such as maize, peanuts, cottonseed, and tree nuts. Throwing out all moldy foods such as fruits, vegetables, bread, corn, and etc. unless the mold is a natural part of the product. Mold and mildew are natural byproducts of a humid environment. But that doesn't mean you want to share your house with the spores. Rather than turning to harsh chemicals such as bleach or borax to banish mold, there are natural ways to kill mold at home that won't hurt your family, pets, and or the environment. The US FDA recommends cutting away moldy areas and hard cheese at least 1 inch or 2.5 centimeter around them. You can also use this procedure on food such as salami and firm fruit and vegetables. The powdery stuff on a salami is mold, but it's the good time it's the good kind of mold and it's completely edible. Firm fruit or hard fruit are apples, avocado, mangoes, papaya, etc. And also to the vegetables.
Chemical hazards.
Hello everyone, I am Jacksoni Perales. I'm going to discuss about the chemical hazards. So first, let us find out what is chemical hazards. A chemical hazard, it is a non-biological substance that has the potential to cause harm to life and health. The chemical hazards happens when a chemical or harmful chemical gets into the food that is eaten by a person. Soap, detergent, degreasers, pesticides, and sanitizers are examples of chemicals. And these chemicals are commonly used in food service establishment and can pose a chemical hazard into the flow of food.
Preventive measures for the occurrence of chemical hazard in food. Store chemicals away from food by. So first, storing in original containers. Store chemicals away from food storage and contact areas. Chemicals can easily get into food or spill onto food contact surfaces if they are stored incorrectly. A separate area should be used for chemical storage to make sure your food and equipment stay safe. Second is labeling all chemical containers properly. So, label all chemicals clearly. If chemicals are mislabeled or hard to read, it can be difficult to know what they are and should be used for. If you find a chemical container without a clear label, discard the chemical properly. When labeling portable containers, you need to name the chemical along with its hazards on the bottle or beaker. You also need to make sure, first, the label is legible and easy to read. Second, the label is permanent and cannot be defaced or washed off. Third, safety data sheets are still accessible. Fourth, staff are trained to use the chemical and know the location of the safety data sheet in the event of an emergency. Remember, just putting labels on a container of chemicals does not extinguish your health and safety responsibilities. You must manage the risk associated with each hazardous chemical at your work site. Third is keeping material safety data sheets provided by the manufacturer to ensure chemicals are stored and used properly. So, material safety data sheets are prepared by the supplier or manufacturer of the material. It is intended to tell what the hazards of the product are, how to use the product safely, what to expect if the recommendations are not followed, what to do if accidents occur, how to recognize symptoms of overexposure, and what to do if such accidents occur. Keeping chemicals in a lab. Separate storage area. So, securing cleaning chemicals in a safety cabinet away from food preparation and service areas is a great way to reduce the risk of harm. This prevents unauthorized staff
who are not trained from assessing chemicals and using them incorrectly. And last, limiting access to chemicals to authorized employees. So, by only allowing authorized personnel access to your chemical storage cabinets, you can greatly reduce the risk of chemical mishandling, which is the largest contributing factor to chemical incidents. Having a restricted storage area allows you to ensure only those knowledgeable about the stored chemicals and their risk enter. Moreover, it enables you to be certain those entering are fully trained in your workplace. Best practices for handling and storing chemicals.
Use chemical properly by measuring chemicals according to the manufacturer recommendations. So what does it mean? So the storage procedures listed below are not intended to be all-inclusive but should serve instead supplements more specific procedures and recommendations obtained from container labels, safe data sheets or SDS, and other chemicals reference materials. So manufacturer chemicals labels must be never removed or defaced until the chemical completely used. And all the chemicals should be labeled with the date received and date open. All laboratory chemicals waste container must be labeled with the name of the chemicals contained. Test sanitizing solutions to make sure that they are at the appropriate concentrations. So it means these sanitizing steps may be completed with either chemicals or hot water. But in either case, certain parameters must be reached to ensure a sufficient amount of bacteria is killed. Sanitizer test strips for restaurants are one way to confirm those levels are achieved to protect your customer from foodborne illness. Teach employees how to use chemicals. So training employees to safely use any chemicals they may be to expose in the course of work is not only the right thing to do, it requires. So all state required chemical safety training before use, and some states have additional requirements beyond that. So when you train your employees in chemical safety, be sure to cover the following points. So here the following covered points. So, which chemicals are used in their work areas? The primary routes by which chemicals can enter the body, inhalations, ingestions, absorptions, and injections. How to understand the labels on chemicals containers, including the 9 internationally recognized pictograms. Where to find chemical safety data sheets or SDS in the workplace, and how to understand them, including the review of the information contained of the SDS to any chemicals they will be working with. Location of emergency ice washes, first aid kits, and etc. How to properly store hazardous chemicals, required personal protective equipment, and how to properly use and wear it. How to dispose of chemical waste properly. Don't eat, drink, or smoke while using chemicals, as this put you to risk of ingestions injuries. Don't mix chemicals if you're unsure how they will react. So, and the last is clean up spills promptly. Wash hands thoroughly after using chemicals. So hands must be washed with soap and running water after handling chemicals, biohazardous materials, or animals before leaving the laboratory. And before eating, wet your hands and breast with running water and soap to your hands, but note, liquid soap is preferred over bar soap. Hire a licensed pest control operator to use pesticides. So we should hire the professional wildlife control operator, means WCO, or problem animal controller, or PEC. And a pest control operator is someone who manages indoor pests like cockroaches, ants, or mice, and is licensed to apply pesticides.
Food allergy.
Allergy. A food allergy is the body's negative reaction to a food protein. There are specific signs that a customer is having an allergic reaction. It is really important to take allergies seriously. No matter how severe or mild they might be, one allergic reaction doesn't define how severe another allergic reaction might be, and mild reactions can even turn into severe reactions. Also defined as an immune system reaction that occurs soon after eating. Even a tiny amount of the allergy causing food can trigger signs and symptoms such as digestive problems, hives, or swollen airways. It is also an abnormal response to a food triggered by your body's immune system.
Depending on the person, an allergy reaction can happen right after the food is eaten or several hours later. Depende rin yun sa katawan kung natin siya allergy sa mga pagkain. The food reaction may tapos siya kahuman sa pagkain or right after bila na kami hours. This reaction includes some of all of the symptoms given as follows. First, bullet. Itching in and around the mouth, face, or scalp. Ang pagkatuloy sa lawas like sa mga taong may allergies, wala na ako allergies sa mga sa itlog. Butungan na yun ako mga bulot-bulot. Kuman, kung nagkaroon siya, maabot sa kanyang, maabot sa kanyang katulog sa ayos. Then bullet, tightening and grip. Isa pa sa dapat na squeezing or shortness of breath. If a person have an allergy reaction, it can also cause a symptoms like sa pagkasunog hives, swelling of face, eyes, hands, or face. The food reaction can also cause a symptoms like what I said earlier. Burot-burot ang paghubag sa mata, sa naw, sa kamot, sa pikit, or even mahitabo na siya all over your body. Abdominal cramps, vomiting, or diarrhea. Food reaction and food allergies can also cause sa pagkasakit niya sa mata, pagsuka-suka, o labaw na ang pagkalibang. Loss of consciousness. Ang pagkawala sa panininot sa usa ka tawo may food allergies. Last, death. Food allergies can also cause death. If the person have a food reaction, hindi magkayo nila ang symptoms ng sa lawas, it can cause them to death.
Topics. Food allergies can cause serious and deadly reactions. So, it's important to know how to recognize an allergic reaction and to be prepared if one happens. Example of the allergies: milk, eggs, shellfish, lead, soy, peanuts, and tree nuts. Most common food allergies are the following. First, milk allergy is an abnormal response by the body's immune system to milk and products containing milk. It's one of the most common food allergy in children. Cow milk is the usual cause of milk allergy, but milk from sheep, goat, buffalo, and other mammals also can cause reaction. Next, eggs are one of the most common allergy-causing foods for children. Egg allergy symptoms usually occur a few minutes to a few hours after eating egg or foods containing eggs. Signs and symptoms range from mild to severe and can include skin rashes, hives, nasal congestion, and vomiting, other digestive problems. Next, fish or shellfish. Symptoms of fish or shellfish allergies vary and range from mild reaction to a severe allergic reaction called anaphylaxis. The most common symptoms is with bumps of skin called hives. Other symptoms include wheezing and trouble breathing, cramps, diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting. Next, wet. Wet child or adult with wet allergy is likely to develop signs and symptoms within minutes to hours after eating something containing wet. Wet allergy signs and symptoms include swelling, itching or irritation of the mouth or throat, hives, itchy rash or swelling of the skin, nasal congestion. Next, soy. Soy allergy symptoms can include tingling in the mouth, hives, itching or itchy scaly skin called eczema, swelling of the lips, face, tongue and throat or other body parts, wheezing, a runny nose or breathing difficulty. Next, peanuts. An allergic response to peanuts usually occurs within minutes after exposure. Peanut allergy signs and symptoms can include skin reaction such as hives, redness or swelling, itching or tingling in or around the mouth and throat, digestive problems such as diarrhea, stomach cramps, nausea or vomiting. Next is tree nut. Allergy is one of the most common food allergy in both adults and children. Allergic reaction to tree nuts can range from mild, minor itching, watery eyes, and a scratchy throat, to life-threatening. You may be allergic to just one type of tree nut, or you could be allergic to several.
Physical hazards.
So now we are going to talk about the physical hazards. So physical hazards occur when foreign object gets into a food accidentally. So basically it is a result from accidental contamination and or poor food handling practices, such as working without proper hygiene and proper clothes to wear. So every irresponsible act that we does while handling a food may lead to contamination and may cause damage and loss from foods to services and customers. So this physical hazard includes contaminants of dirt, hair, nail polish flakes, insects, broken glass, nails, staples, plastic fragments, bones, or bits of packaging. So when handling and taking care of foods, it is very evident to have a good hygiene, not just by yourself, but also with the workplace. But of course, we get to ask the question how to avoid these physical hazards to exist. So some rules to prevent physical hazards in food are given as follows, which is going to be tackled by the next reporter.
Provide written standard operating procedures to be religiously followed. First, wearing of appropriate hair cover to minimize hair contamination. So, what does it mean? According to the FDA Food Code, hair restraints like hairnets, chef hat are acceptable to wear. The main goal is to use a hair covering that will hold any dislodged hair in place, so it does not fall into food or onto equipment. Hair restraints also help keep you from touching your hair and contaminating your hands. There are many types of hairnets that can be used. If you choose to use a disposable hairnet, be sure to throw it away once you are done, or if it has a hole in it, keeping your hair restrained in good, clean condition is important when it comes to food safety. Just like disposable gloves and disposable hairnets are meant for one use and should be discarded once you are done with it. So, why should I wear a hair restraint? Because hair can cause a physical and biological contamination. hair can present a physical hazard, especially since it's usually unexpected. A physical hazard is an object that can cause your customers to choke or injure themselves. Hair can also be a biological hazard. It can have several types of pathogens on it, including Staphylococcus bacteria. These bacteria can cause foodborne illness and quickly make your customers sick. Although it is normal to have these pathogens on your skin and hair, it's important to keep them out of the food. You can prevent hair in food by wearing the right attire like gloves and hair restraint. Wear the proper hair restraints when working with or around food to prevent it from getting in the food. Second is prohibiting the use of nail polish on artificial nails. So, anyone who handle food or food contact surfaces cannot wear artificial fingernails or nail polish while engaged in such work. And anyone handling food must keep their fingernails short and clean, as long nails collect bits of food and bacteria. And the third is limiting wearing jewelry to simple wedding band. So beware of jewelry. Pathogens can get trapped under jewelry, which creates a biological hazard. In addition, jewelry such as bracelets, watches, and rings could fall into food that can cause creating a physical hazard. Jewelry should never be worn when working with food for these reasons. Focus during food preparation to identify physical contaminants. So, why we need to remove old bones when deboning? To remove and discarding all packaging from food, and remove any glass bottles and toothpicks. So, we need to remove and discard because to avoid physical contamination, to avoid injure someone, and can also potentially carry harmful, which then cause illness.
So next is clean, maintain, and use equipment properly. By maintaining and cleaning and use the equipment properly, it can help to prevent foodborne illness because bacteria can grow on an unsanitary surface that can contaminate food. Also, using the equipment properly and store it properly, it can maintain and save your time and also money for buying new ones. Cleaning and sanitizing all food contact surface. Sanitize contact surface, tableware, glassware, and small kitchen tools can be used to avoid food contamination. And also hot water can clean and sanitize. Cleaning of blades of can opener to ensure no metal accumulation. Can disinfect and soften any stuck on food. Wipe can, then resin, and can prevent dry the opener wheels. Next is using clean and sanitized scoops. Sanitize ice scoops daily with quick bath sanitizer to prevent contamination to food. Installing light covers, the distance should be 75 centimeters, 30 inches above the floor. Next is using shutter-proof light bulbs. Prevent glass from contaminating product and can be cleaned with cleaning products. Next is provide routine pest control maintenance and inspection by licensed pet control operator to prevent pest contamination in food. They need to be done so that the working place is clean and the food contamination will not happen and can assure the customer's safety and make the working place neat and presentable so that the food contamination will not happen anytime.
That's all. Thank you for watching.